because the next thing we did was do my biopsy. And my biopsy actually happened the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. So it was some days that I had off. It was going to be the close enough. It was the quickest date that he can get me in. And so I went to, I think it was Tulane, got a biopsy. And the actual biopsy, he told me what it was going to be about and how it was going to be. They numbed the area that was in my back. So where your kidneys are is probably a little bit upper mid back. So they were upper mid back on both sides. So they basically local anesthetic in that area. And I was really nervous because I was like, I didn't know how this is going to be. And then he told me, because I asked him, I was like, how's the biopsy going to be? He's like, basically, it's going to be like a needle and they're just going to take it out. I'm like, a needle? So I'm like, okay. So it actually was this machine where I have this, where a lab tech is basically, it's like a radiological machine with basically radiology and a lab tech back there. And it's kind of like there's a grid that he puts on your back with a laser grid, and the area that since they took a sonogram of my kidneys before. I think it was earlier that day I took a sonogram, or a few days before they took a sonogram of my kidney and of where my kidneys were at in the exact place. And they took that and they actually put me on this machine. I had to lay on my stomach, and they were like, you'll feel a little pressure. And it didn't, I'm going to be honest, it didn't really hurt. It was kind of like it was like a quick, like, I don't know, like a push and pull. So they sit you under this machine and there's this laser grid. And this guy's like trying to do this exact trajectory, which is why he has the grid. And he's like, And so there's this needle. It's a huge needle. It's a pretty big needle. And like, say this is your back. And what it does is this needle has like a hook on the end of it. I think it is. It's like almost like if you crochet your hair and you had that little needle and it's like a hook. It's like that. So it's almost like a big sturdy crochet needle going in your back, and it goes in, and he went into where my kidneys were, went down, and it was like, it grabbed it and it came back up. And so like, it was just like stab, come up. And so he did that on both sides, and he looked at both of my kidneys. I know it didn't, I'm just going to be real. It didn't hurt that was to me, but my pain threshold is different than a lot of other people's. And it was a local anesthetic. It was pressure. Now, after that, because after that, it hurt. I couldn't laugh, or if I laughed, it was just totally, I was just like, I was like laughing and crying at the same time. I was like, because a friend of mine came and picked me up. And so I chilled over at their house and chilled with some of my friends. And I'm not gonna lie, I smoked weed because it was a lot of intense things going on the day. That's probably when I started. And I never really smoked weed or did anything before. So I did it. And so I was just like, because I needed to calm down. I was just really anxious because I don't know what's happening with me. It's just like, it's like out of nowhere, you find something out and you don't know what's happening with you and you don't know what's going on. And it's out of nowhere, but you see small signs, but you don't think anything of it, especially I'm like, oh, I'm just being, a baby. So I think it was, so the weekend, Thanksgiving goes by, the whole weekend goes by, and he says, okay, come in and see me Monday. So I'm like, okay. Sorry, I had to take a little bathroom break. So where was I? So Monday, he calls me in, and he's like, okay, so we need to talk about the results. Again, nervous, anxious, because I'm like, nobody just wants to talk about some regular results if there isn't anything going. But at that point, I kind of knew. I was like, there's something going on. I just didn't know what. I didn't know how deep in I was. I didn't know just the whole details of it. So I go to his office, and I'm like, hi. It's like, hey, I'm all trying to be jovial, happy, have a good outlook. I'm like, whatever it is, God, it's your will, it's your purpose. But sometimes his will and his purpose can hit you really hard. So, and it just doesn't make sense right when you're in it. It's never going to make sense when you're in it, but when you're done, it will. So and he's like, he's like, so I got your results back. And he was like, actually, I got your results back Friday. I'm not gonna lie. He was like, I just didn't know how to tell you this. I don't know how to tell somebody so young what is going on with them. He's like, I went to my rabbi and I prayed and I asked him to pray over me and I prayed for you. And I'm asking to just basically, how can I tell this girl this? And he was like, I've had the hardest time with it this weekend. One, all I can say is I appreciate for him for that. Two, it gave me a different outlook on the kind of person and doctor he was, that he was so much more concerned with me as his patient than he was about his money that he's making, his reputation, or anything else. His concern was truly me and what I have to go through and what I have to deal with. That showed me how much of a compassionate person he was. That showed me how much that allowed me to see that I can trust him as a doctor and as a person, because I'm not just another person to him. I'm actually somebody that he cares about, somebody that we can have a good doctor patient relationship that's real, because he is more, my health is more important to him than how he feels or how I feel. And so I was taken aback by that because I was like, this man prayed for me. I come from a Baptist household. We all believe in God. We believe in God. I'm a spiritual person. So for me, I was like, that struck me first and foremost. I was just like, oh. And then he was like, so what you have is something called FSGS. And I was like, what? It was like, he said, he just told me the whole name at first. He was like, focal segmental glomerulosclerosis. I was like, what? Taking it all in, my mind was like, I couldn't really take it. So he's like, it's called FSGS. And I was like, and he was like, focal segmental glomerulosclerosis. So I was like, so basically you're talking the glomeruli, which is the functioning like filtration unit of the kidney, is dying. It's dying off. And so he was like, basically, and I was like, okay. And so he was like, I was like, what did I do? What did I not do? How did I get here? I'm asking him 50 questions like, how do I deal with it? So you're telling me my life is over? You're telling me, and he was like, your life is not over. he was, I joke about it now because I was getting really intensely dramatic just in that moment. It just kind of like, when somebody tells you something like somebody's dead or something happens, it's just like, am I gonna die? It's like you've got 50 questions going through your head. Now I was like, what? What? I had never had surgery, never really, only thing I had to really deal with was asthma. And granted, I didn't always have to deal with that. And so I was like, huh? And he was like, I was like, so what am I gonna do? Am I gonna have to go on dialysis? He was like, well, hopefully you won't have to do that. And he was like, don't think this is a death sentence. Don't think this is an end of life sentence. He was like, you can still live a fulfilling life at this point. He was like, it's gonna take work on your part, but you can still do it. And he's like, if you gotta go on dialysis, I was like, how am I gonna work? How am I gonna go to school? How am I gonna do any of this? How am I gonna live? And he was like, you can go to, he was like, dialysis and no longer have to sit in a hospital for 8 hours. He was like, one of my patients does dialysis and she is actually, she travels all the time. And it's basically this compact unit that she has on her that she has to switch out. And he was like, I'll teach you how to do that. I'll show you what you need to know. And he was like, if it gets to that point right now, you're not at that point. And he was like, you have options. I was like, what are my options? I was like, a transplant? And he was like, basically, yeah. And he was like, you can get kidneys from other people. You don't have to live with this. And he's like, you don't have to live like this and think that this is a death sentence. And I was like, those people are on there for 2 years. He's like, and I was like, those people are on the list sometimes for years. He was like, yes. He was like, cadaver is cool, but he was like, a live human transplant, a live transplant is the best, is even better. Going from one live person to another. He was like, cadaver's great, that's life saving, but He was like, your quickest bet is going to be having somebody a live donor, just having a live donor. And so after I like asked 50 questions, I've asked 50 questions, I've taken all this in, and he was like, my nurse is going to come give you a flu shot, and she's going to give you a shot of something called erythropoietin, which because my kidneys were just basically dying off, and so my body wasn't doing that. Because of my function of my kidney, it was affecting the function of other things. And so there was no, my blood wasn't getting made. That's why I was feeling, he was like, this is why you feel weak. This is why you feel tired. This is why you feel lightheaded and dizzy at times. And so he gave me a shot for that. And she came in and gave me a shot. And I was just, I wasn't like boo hooing, but I was just crying. It was a silent cry, but it was just tears. My eyes welled up with water and tears rolling down my face so much that my eyes, I couldn't even see. They were blurry because I just didn't. I was like, how do I, but what, I'm 23. Like, who thinks at 23 that your kidneys are just gonna go kaput and they're not gonna be functioning? And I'm not finding this out like beginning stages. No, I found this out at like stage 4, almost stage 5. I only had probably like 15% of my kidney maybe when I found out. And so I'm like, okay. It was a lot. It's a lot to take in at 23 when you're trying to go to pharmacy school. And this is your first year of pharmacy school. You haven't even finished your whole first semester. But you deep in something else too. And then you're working and you're in a city. I was in a city by myself with no real, my parents weren't there. I had some family, like my aunt, my one of my mom's baby sister, my aunt, she had her ex-in-laws lived in New Orleans, and they were the sweetest people. They were so considered. She basically treated me like I was her child. And they were there, but it was just like I was kind of pushing it. I mean, it was just me and God. It wasn't too many people, just me and God. And God had brought a lot of wonderful people around me to help and support me during this time. So he was like, "You have options. Don't think this is the end. Don't think that you're dead, you're gone, and your life is over with." He's like, "You," and for him to speak that into me, like, you have a life fulfilled. Your life is not over. This is not the end for you. So after I get my shot and I get my flu shot, I have to go to work that day. And so I go to work and I work most of the day. And, it's heavy on my mind, but I guess I'm a work person. I like to work. Weird. I know. I'm one of those people that I like to be active and work. And a lot of times it takes my mind off of stuff. And so I went there and my mind kind of wasn't taken off. It was just a lot going on. Everybody's like, hey, what's going on with you? I'm the jovial, like high, high energy kind of person. Like, let's go, let's go, let's go. Making jokes, having fun. But I was like, not too many jokes were coming out that day. So after that, I go and like tell my bosses. And they were like, and before that, I had turned out a job because they were gonna like make me key employee manager. They're about to try to make me, and I was like, no, I'm going to pharmacy school. And that's like, they were like, oh great. I was like, dang, we was trying to, this, that, and this. And then I go and tell them, and I'm like, okay, so I just found out today that I have that basically my kidneys are failing. I'm at like 15% of function. And, um, you know, I mean, I'm like, so there may be some times where I'm going to have to take some days off. I'm going to be a little, I still have my energy, but I was like, I might be a little weak. I might be some times where I might need a little bit more help, where I may have to miss some days. And it may not be I'm calling in but I'm calling in because I'm really sick or because I'm really weak or this, that, and this. And they were like, shit. And they were like, okay. And I think even my manager was this lady named Christy at that moment. I think she was the manager at that moment. She was like, oh my God. She like almost cried, but she was like, I need to go smoke. She was really, it gave her anxiety because she was like, it was just intense. It's intense to see somebody young that looks healthy, that looks okay, have their kidneys failing and they need a transplant. And he was like, I was like, yeah, I really just need a transplant. And they're like, shit. So I tell them, and being the job that they are, they understand, they're considerate. They're like, please, they're like, as much work as you put in, whatever you need, if you need any help, if you need anything, let us know. We got your back. And so from there, I called my, I didn't call my friend. I went out with one of my best friends one day. And my best friend at that moment was like a guy. Nothing else happened more than friendship with this, and I don't think it was not going to. He was a good friend. He was somebody that I could chill with. There was no drama. He wasn't trying to ask me out. So it was just fun, hang, chill. Let's have a good time. Let's enjoy ourselves. So, and I think I said something about I didn't really drink. I didn't drink in high school, but in college, I lived in New Orleans. Come on. So I actually I told him one day, I was in the car, we were riding somewhere. We were going somewhere to something. And he was also the only person I could ride with because when it's time to go and I was ready to leave, he was like, let's just go. It wasn't like I had to wait on, he was trying to be all up in every, no, it wasn't like that. That was because most of the time I was like, I'm on my own, I'm driving myself. So we were going somewhere doing something. And I was like, yo, I gotta tell you. So I'm just gonna be real with you. So I found out what was wrong with my kidneys. They're failing. I was like, dude, I'm at like 15%. I need a transplant. This and he was like, damn, Dallas. They call me Dallas because I'm from Dallas. And he was like, damn, Dallas. And and a lot of times it's hard for guys or people just to take in this information. That's intense for them. For somebody they know, okay, you're gonna need a transplant. Your kidneys are failing now. Now you need one. And so he was like, this trust, don't follow this advice. This is nothing. He was like, you know what? He was like, it's all cool, Dallas. We're gonna get through this. You know what we're gonna do right now? We're gonna blow them kidneys out. And we're gonna give him the I was like, thanks, Mikhail. That was just his way of trying to like make a light out of a situation that was a, a tough situation. And when I mean tough, like physically, emotionally, mentally, just tough, that it could take anybody out. You find out right now and you're like, think about this, you're 20 something, you're going on with your life, you got dream, you have a trajectory and the way which you're going, and then you find out, oh, your kidneys are failing. It's like they almost failed on you, like you're in stage 4. You need a kidney transplant like tomorrow. So it was a really intense situation, but I had a lot of people around me that weren't my family, that supported me like family, that picked me up from appointments, that picked me up from the hospital, whatever, before and after. And I got to thank God for the city of New Orleans, the people in New Orleans, because New Orleans is just a different world. When you get there, you're family. When you get to know the people, you are family to everyone and anyone. I was always not, yeah, surprised by New Orleans, and just like when you talk about real Southern, that's like Southern hospitality to the nth degree. And I'm from Texas, so I'm Southern. That's like to the nth degree. But I'm from Dallas, so they're a little bit different here back in the day. So I think it was about, I forgot to add the day that I found out that my doctor told me, I have a mother. The reason I'm kind of like asking 50 questions is I was kind of bred like that. I have a mother that asks 20,000 questions. Like not 101 question, 20,000. And you'd be like, you don't even get a chance to ask the next one. And answer one question before you get another. And now I know where I get it from. Anyway, so that day, my doctor was like, well, I was like, she was like, do you want me to tell your mom, or do you want to tell your mom? I was like, can you please do it? Can you tell my mom? I was like, I can't do this. I can't tell her. She's going to ask me 50 questions and I can't even think right now. I don't even know how to think about. I don't even know what to answer them. I don't even know what to say. I don't have the words. I don't have the words to answer all her questions, and you can answer them perfectly. So I need you to do this. So my doctor even told my mom and answered every single question. And I think that same night she calls me. Well, she calls me right before I get to work, immediately. Like right after I left my appointment, I had to go to work. She calls me right before I get to work. Renata, oh my poor baby. I heard the doctor just this, that, and this. Oh, baby, I'm so sorry. And this, that, and this is from my side of the family. So, she's also a person that's like hard on herself. Where I get that from her too. And so she was just like, I was, she was just like, I don't know what I did. I was like, you, and so I know, and I was actually there when he started telling her, but I was like, I gotta go. And she was like, what did I do? What can I do? What didn't I do? What should I have done before? Like she trying to like find out everything that she could do to have changed that situation. So she was like taking accountability on her own that she had gotten me into this because the disease was basically like he said it was a familial disease and it basically had come from, I want to say, like 5 generations ago. Somebody had the disease when there wasn't the technology and the scientific evidence, and that person probably died in their 20s or 30s and they were just dropping dead and nobody knew why. That's why. And so after that, my mom was like, she was on the phone with me one day. She was like, she called me. I was like, Mom, I gotta go to work. I gotta go to work. I gotta go to work. I just couldn't deal with all of that. Was a lot to deal with. I couldn't deal with all that. I'm like, she's, oh, do I need to come down there? What do I need to do? How do I? I'm like, okay, you're tripping. You're making the situation a little bit more, you know. So she calls me later on that night. Call me after you get home from work. And so I talked to her that night. She was like, you know what? After I got off the phone with the doctor, I thought about it and I was like, my cousin's children, a couple of my cousins, their kids had transplants. One had had it when they were like 18, and then the other one found out when they were like 11, but they lasted to like their 20s. And I was like, really? I was like, he said it was familial. It was basically genetic disease. Like it had turned on from me having like the flu or something I had got, and he was like 5 years ago, and he was like, this has been going on for 5 years. So this had been going on in my body for 5 years. Like I told the clinic, like this is not like I tried to fight with the clinic. No, this is not new. This is not new. This is going on for a while, and this is my kids. So I'm glad I fought those people. Fight for what you believe. Fight for what you know, especially when it comes to your body. So supposedly I was 18 and I had a really bad flu that year. I hadn't gotten the flu for like years, but that year I got a really bad flu, and that turned on whatever was going on in my body. It turned on a gene, and that turned on that disease. And so she's like, oh, their cousin, they got this, they got that, and this, that, and this. And she was like, and I was like, yeah, it's best to get a live cadaver, this, that, and this. And so, my mom's freaking out. And she's like, I need you to call me every day. Every day you go call. I was like, Mom, no. I was like, I am not. I got too much going on. I can't call you every day. I was like, I will try my best, but I'm not going to call you every day. I'll call you every week, but not every day. She was like, every day we need to speak. Basically, she was wanting to be like, I need to make sure you're alive every day. So I was like, you tripping, lady. Get off my phone. Bye, Mom. Bye. So we finished that. And so after all this has happened, I think it was about December, I finally see my mom. And if y'all think that's a mess, here goes. I see my mom, and I flew in because I think I tried to drive somewhere sometime. I was so tired and so weak. I was falling asleep driving and I had taken that drive from New Orleans to Dallas. Like that's how tired and weak and worn out I was. I was like, I just wanted to sleep. Like I was trying to drive. I would leave at 5 in the morning, and I did this drive so many times. I would leave at 5 in the morning, and then I would drive to I would drive up and go up to Shreveport and then Shreveport to Dallas. And so I think I tried to come home or something. I tried something one time, and I had noticed that I was really, really tired, and I almost fell asleep one time at the wheel. I was kind of like, just randomly, I'd be sitting there and I'm ready to fall asleep. So I decided to fly, and I flew to Houston, which was nothing but a 4 or 5 hour drive from New Orleans. And so I flew to Houston because Christmas was in Houston. And so I get in, and like my aunt picks me up, and we do some things, and I'll talk to everybody and I hug everybody, and everybody's like, "Oh, Raya, no, we heard, blah 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 blah," because my family, and whoop, it's gonna get around quick. But and my mom's just a quick mover. She had already gotten tested. She was like, "My blood is this. I know what blood type I am," and so she was like, "I'm an A. I'm not a B because I think I'm B," and she was A. So my dad was beaten. So she was like, "I can't give you my kidney." Like she was ready to lay on the table that day to give me her kidney. That's my mom. She's a great woman. She's like, "I'd give you mine if I could." So I go visit my family, and I walk in, I say hi to everybody, and they're like, "How you feeling?" And this and this. Oh, you know. They're like, "That's good, that's good." And so I go up there. My mom, of course, if it's past 9 o'clock, she's asleep. 9 o'clock, she sleeps. I guess she gets up at 5 or so in the morning, but 9:30, she in the bed. If it's 11, it's a night out for her. So I go on there and I'm like, "Hey, mom." She was like, "Oh, my poor baby." So she's like holding me and patting my back like I'm an actual baby. And she's like, "I'm so sorry. Oh, my baby." I'm like, "Mom, let go. Relax. I need you to relax. I need you to relax because if you don't relax, that's gonna amp me up." And that's something when you're like anxious and worried, you can make somebody else around you anxious and worried. You pass those things on. And I'm like, "Mom, calm down. You're tripping me out." She's like, "Oh, my baby." Just like Pat. And I was like, this lady is crazy. But I wouldn't trade her craziness for the world. So my mom gets tested. I keep asking my dad to get tested. That's a different story, different day. My dad has a past, and I don't think he really wanted to get tested, or he knew his wasn't going to be the best option, which was okay. I just wanted him to say that, but he just did it the way he wanted to do it. And that's his choice. That's his life. Anyway, so I guess my dad tells his side of the family. So I think it was about January or February. My mom there's 8 of them on my mom's side. It's 7 girls and 1 boy, and then there's 12 of them on my dad's side, and it's 6 boys and 6 girls. Crazy enough, I know. The first 6 was 1 boy and 5 girls, and then the last 6 was 1 girl and 5 boys. I think that's how it went, or 2 girls and 5. It's different, but there's 6 of each. They just got like a perfect little dozen. And so I go and it was just like one February day, and she was like, my Aunt Stephanie. My Aunt Stephanie is this beautiful, stylish, like jovial woman, great energy, just a great all around person. Great all around person. So she calls me up one day, and I was like, "Hey, it's Stephanie." And she was like, "Hey, girl, I heard." And I was like, "I know." "Yeah, I just need a live transplant." She's like, "How you feeling? How you doing?" I was like, "I'm tired. I'm worn out." I was like, "It's a lot, but I'm still pushing. I'm still going to keep going. I still have a goal that I'm looking at. I still have, I'm trying to graduate this, that, and this. I'm still going to school, still working, this, that." She was like, "Girl," she was like, that's a lot, but I'm proud of you." And so she was like, "Well, how about this? How about I give you my kidney?" Now, this is my aunt who is like, has clothes galore, who used to, when I was little, me and my brother, she would take us shopping and then like buy us everything and whatever we wanted. And we would just always go hang and eat with her whenever we went to go visit our grandparents in Michigan. She was the one we would go do things. We would go to radio station. We go have fun. We go everywhere. And so this is the aunt that also, like, I think I went to her house one time. I asked her to borrow a purse or if I could have a purse. And mind you, she's got like a 4 or 5 bedroom house with a cedar closet basement and like clothes in each closet of every room because it's just her. And purses every always a new purse. And I was like, "Oh, Aunt Stephanie, I love this purse. Can I have?" She was like, "No, you can't have that. That's my favorite purse." She was like, "Maybe any other one, but not that one." So this is my aunt that is like, "No, you can't borrow that purse." But she was so willing. She was like, "Girl, you can have my kidney," like giving it away. Like it's nothing. She was like, "I'm gonna get tested. I know I'm B. I think I'm B. I know I'm B. If I recall, I'm B." So we got the same blood. You're gonna have my kidney. You're gonna be all good, girl. So she is willing to save my life. And I was like, and she is just, that's just a testament to who she is. It was like, I can't borrow any clothes, but you gonna give me a kidney? I was like, I'll take it. I ain't gonna complain about it. But I was just like, she was just like, yes, girl, we gonna get this going. She was like, yep, yes, yes. So she goes and she does, since she's in Flint, Michigan, and I was in New Orleans. I was like, how are we gonna do this? So basically, I before all of this, I got on the list at Tulane, and I also got on the list at Baylor because my mom was like, no, I want you to have your transplant near me. Somebody's got to be able to take care of you, this, that, and this, blah, blah, blah. And me already thinking, like, I got to get back to work. I got stuff to do. I got school. I want to be where I'm at. Y'all just need to come to me. The craziness of me sometimes, the craziness and audacity of me, just thinking of what I want, when I want, and how I want it. So I